Alright, today I'm just gonna do something just for fun. I'm gonna be ranking the OverTriggers from worst to best, excluding the generic additional effects of 100 million power added. I'll only talk about the ones with the unique abilities in the very first booster set, as it's very likely that's the first wave of OverTriggers. And this is based on my opinion on how usable the OverTrigger is, how it affects the gameplay in the long run, because that's what OverTriggers are meant to be, overturn the game if you're able to get it, and decks that can utilize them effectively. But on that, no more wasting time and let's begin. Alright, so in the bottom of my list, it's Source Dragon Deity of Blessing, Blessed Flavor. So its additional ability is that it lets you draw a card, your whole front row gets plus 10k power, and it's permanent, gives you a crit to one of your units, and then heals 1 point of damage if you have equal or more damage than your opponent. So basically it's a combination of every trigger in standard. Now why this is in the bottom of my list? Well, control is a thing, so those rearguards with those extra 10k buffs are gonna get easily sniped. Sure, it does change the target on what your opponent's gonna try to kill, which can be a little helpful, but it gets even worse when you drive check this in the wrong timing, because if you drive check this before grade 3, well, you're gonna lose that extra 10k power buff on your Vanguard, which would be nice defensive value. So in general, you pretty much lose value in the long run. And even this being the combination of all the other triggers in standard doesn't bring that much value in changing the game. Now it would be nice if it lets you heal one card regardless how much damage you have, or just heal your whole damage zone. Now that's an OverTrigger, and I would say it's probably the best, because you know it should bless me with victory. In short, this doesn't really change the outcome of the game when you drive check it. And then to number 4, it'll be Dragon Deity King of Resurgence, Drag Vita. Its additional ability is that it restands the Vanguard. Yes, that isn't too bad, but like most of these OverTriggers, if you drive check it the wrong time, well, it doesn't really overturn the game. Although unlike Blessed Flower, you don't actually lose its full value, because you do get additional attack, which in turn you will get extra drive checks, which that one extra attack can be much more devastating than the additional abilities that Blessed Flower were giving, which can make your opponent hit a damage point that they don't want. But another thing is, like, if you drive check this in the right time, well, it could be quite nasty, because this is a restanding Vanguard we're talking about. And what's nice is that this is playable in every Dragon Empire deck. Unlike the Stokeia, not every deck can fully utilize it. Now to number 3, this is a difficult one, but I pick Light Dragon Deity of Honors, Amartinoa. Its additional ability is that it gives all your rear guards drive checks, which can be very devastating with amount of pluses, especially now that every rear guard has a drive check, which can change your opponent's guarding strategy. Sure, if you drive check this at the wrong timing, aka early game, you're not going to get its full value at all, but in the right circumstances this can be very devastating. Like I said, every rearguard has a drive check. And since many Cater Sanctuary related decks, this includes United Sanctuary, can utilize this effectively during the right timing, it can be very devastating. Bastion, for example, you're getting 1 extra grade 3 attack. That's another twin drive. Sorceress can manipulate the top cards of your deck, giving you a clue what you're going to drive check. And even when you go to Premium, well, Ultimate exists, but if we ignore Ultima, many of the decks can perform multi-attack, which is why I think this OverTrigger is definitely better than Dragvira, because Dragvira is a restanding Vanguard OverTrigger, which only gives you 1 or 2 drive checks. But this one turns all your rearguards into essentially Vanguards as well. And if you play a grade 3 centric deck with grade 3 rearguards, well, that's more twin drives. And now to my number 2. Star Dragon Deity of Infinitude, Eldo Breath. Now this one's additional ability is that it doubles the power of all your front row units and their crits. And yes, this happens after giving the 100 million power, meaning you can override a damage OverTrigger. So essentially, in many ways, it's a front trigger plus a critical trigger together, which makes this one better than the Amartinoa, in my opinion, because the Amartinoa still needs to rely on its drive checks for that extra value, while this card kind of gives that value already. And what's really nice about this OverTrigger is that, since it says double, if you're able to build up power and crits to those units, well, you're doubling that value as well. So if it's already a crit of 2, well, now it's a crit of 4. You have 30,000 power, well, now it's 60,000. which of course gives more value than Army Tinoa, because Army Tinoa only gives your rearguards drive checks, which still relies on RNG to make it threatening, while this one makes it threatening the minute you drive check it. Now if you get this early game, sure you won't get its full value, but that extra doubling the crit can make it very devastating, especially if you have a grade 2 that can already be at a crit of 2. That one grade 2 attack just became a crit of 4 just by dry checking this. Especially that many brand gate related decks tend to have either multi-attack or many powerful front row attacks, which of course can overwhelm your opponent even more and even win you the game. Now to the best OverTrigger in my opinion in the first booster set or in the first wave. Hades Dragon Deity of Resentment, Galmachel. Its additional ability is that for the rest of the game, your Vanguard gets an additional 10k power and 1 critical during your turn. Yes, it may sound weak that it's only for your Vanguard, but it lasts for the whole entire game. Your high power 2 crit Vanguard attack every single turn, and unlike every other OverTrigger where you pretty much have to drive check it late game to get its full value, this one could just get its value from the start. You drive check it this at turn 1? Oh man, that's gonna hurt. Because your grade 2 is gonna be a 20k with 2 crit attack, and your grade 3 will be at least a 23k with 2 crit attack, and that will be the rest of the game. You don't lose its value by riding, meaning you're gonna be retaining its value forever the minute you drive check this. And of course, many Dark State decks are very Vanguard centric, but thanks to this giving it just to your Vanguard for the entire game, even if you change it, retaining its value for the whole game, even powerful in early game, makes this pretty much my current best OverTrigger in the list. So that's it for this fun video. Go ahead and tell me below if you kind of agree with my list or not. This is just my personal opinion and what I see with the OverTriggers, especially when I took into the decks that could play these OverTriggers into account, and the overall value that it gives. But go ahead and tell me below how you would rank them. Now, if the OverTriggers were ranked by their art design, Blessed Flower would probably be my number 1, Elder Breath would probably be my number 2, Armitinoa would probably be my number 3, Galmachel would probably be my number 4, and then the last one would be Dragvita because, in my opinion, the art design doesn't look as cool, and Blessed Flavor actually looks very gorgeous, despite being the shittiest OverTrigger in the current list in my opinion. But other than that, it's time to say goodbye.